Step Out of the Shadows, the revised edition of Bold Move, Volume 1, written by John A. Arouakpour. Introduction. Michel Foucault, a renowned French philosopher, emphasized the importance of mastering one's circumstances rather than merely seeking escape. He suggested that the true essence of power and freedom lies in the ability to understand and navigate the complexities of life, thereby unlocking opportunities that might otherwise remain hidden. This insight is central to the theme of this book. It is about overcoming constraints and building the strength needed to create a life of purpose and achievement. The concept of taking bold steps involves more than just acting in the face of risk. It is about making strategic decisions that others might not anticipate. Those who have made a lasting impact on their communities, industries, or the world at large have often done so by taking calculated risks that set them apart. These actions have not only elevated them, but also established them as influential figures in their respective domains. When have been in the back of the line in life, or you have been in the shadows of systems, institutions, or people before? These actions will not be just about navigating through adversity, but also about positioning yourself to rise from obscurity and claim the recognition and success that you deserve. This expanded and updated edition delves into the forces that impose limitations on individuals and explores how these constraints can be dismantled. It highlights the importance of developing inner strength and strategic thinking to overcome these barriers and achieve a life of fulfillment. Through a rich blend of historical examples, spiritual insights, and personal experiences, this work provides a comprehensive guide to understanding and overcoming the obstacles that stand in the way of true potential. Part 1. Understand barriers and impose limitations. Chapter 1. What does it mean to live in the shadows? If you can determine what a man shall think, you will never have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you can make a man feel inferior, you will never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you will never have to order him to the back door. He will go there himself, and if there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. Carter G. Woodson, African-American historian and author. Long ago, a man who was wealthy in material possessions decided to grant one of his servants a special request for a day. This was because the day held great significance for him. He approached one of the servants and said, "Today is a very special day for me, and in the spirit of the occasion, I will grant you any request you make for one day." The servant pondered on the master's words for a while. Once he had decided on his request, he approached his master and asked, "Master, will you grant me any request, as you have promised?" The master replied, "Yes, I will." The servant then said, "I want to dress like you, ride on your horses and be treated as your equal, so that your equals will treat me as they treat you. These are my requests. Can you grant them as you have promised?" "Consider them done," the master replied. That day the servant was dressed in the master's finest clothing and rode on the best of horses. On that same day, the master received an invitation to a dinner party from one of his wealthy friends. In the spirit of the day, he extended the invitation to the servant. The servant was thrilled at the prospect of being treated as an equal. So he and the master set out on horses for the dinner party. However, it began to rain heavily on their way there. When they arrived at the party, they were completely drenched. And as they dismounted their horses, the host came out to greet them. Seeing that the master was soaked, the host sent his servants to get a towel and a new set of clothing for him to change into. When the master saw that only one set of clothes and one towel had been provided, he asked, "Why just these? I am not alone. I came with a guest." The host replied, "Sir, we saw no one with you." "Impossible," the master said. "I know I came with a guest." He looked around for his servant. The host was puzzled by the master's insistence. He, the master, decided to go outside to look for his servant. By this time, the rain had stopped. The master searched and eventually found the servant, but he was astonished by what he saw. The servant was sitting with the other servants around a fire set up for their warmth. The master was shocked at what happened. He puzzled over whether the servant was forced and made to stay in the quarters. He then discovered at the moment they dismounted their horses, the servant had quickly rushed to the quarters meant for servants, obtained the available clothing from his fellow servants, and joined them around the fire to keep warm. Sad, isn't it? While the servant had the opportunity to be treated differently, he nonetheless treated himself as a slave. And why? Because that was how he had always been treated, what he had been told, what he had been made to think, what his environment had taught him. Despite hating these treatments, deep down, this was how he truly saw himself. Though it is both depressing and sad, this story illustrates what I mean by the term shadow. The shadow has the power to abusively recast you. It shows no respect for age, religion, gender, ethnicity, or nationality. It will have an abusive and degrading effect on you if you allow it. Light and darkness. In the creation account of man in the book of Genesis, God said to man, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth." This statement compares humanity's potential and its first stage emergence to the growth and development of plants, which is be fruitful. From basic science, we know that the growth and development of plants and other organisms are aided by sunlight through the process of photosynthesis. The word photosynthesis comes from the Greek word phaos, meaning light, and synthesis, meaning putting together. When combined, it means light putting together. This indicates that a plant's access to light is what triggers its entire growth process. However, when an object comes between the light and the plant, the light is obstructed, thereby hindering the plant's growth and development. Let me speak plainly now. Your growth and development are like that of plants. You need light for your development, and lack of it will lead to your disadvantage. Things that are responsible for your emergence. 1. The light factor. The light factor is manifested in knowledge, opportunities, purpose, and relationships. All of these put together can help bring out the greatness in you. A lack of them will keep you or anyone else in mediocrity. 2. The barrier factor. Barriers are anything that comes between you and what will help you become who you were meant to be. They keep you from experiencing the best and being exposed to what you ought to give advantage in life. 3. The shadow factor. The influence of perceived limitations on you, and doesn't matter if those limitations are real or imagined. 4. The you factor. While we may not be able to control the events of our lives, we control what we become and what comes out from us regardless of what happens to us. This control we have is called personal power. The different forms of barrier. These barriers often take on two forms, the visible and the invisible. 1. The visible barrier. A visible barrier is a blockade that appears very clearly. It is impossible to miss and cannot be mistaken regarding its intention and purpose. Characteristics of visible barriers. 1. It is obvious. Visible barriers are straightforward and easy to identify. They are often physical, institutional, or social obstacles that you can see and directly interact with. 2. It is purposeful. These barriers are intentionally set up to prevent you from achieving your goals or accessing certain opportunities. They might include things like strict regulations, clear restrictions, or explicit challenges. Let me explain with 3 examples. A. Physical obstacles. A locked door or a closed gate blocking access to a desired area or opportunity. B. Institutional barriers. Policies or procedures in organizations that restrict access to certain roles or resources. C. Social barriers. Prejudices or biases that make it harder for individuals from specific groups to advance. 2. The invisible barrier. Invisible barriers are blockades that are often difficult to detect as they silently grow in strength and influence. These barriers sometimes help you overcome a few challenges when opportunities seem too intense for you to access. Indeed, there are times when great opportunities in life can be overwhelming and hazardous. In such instances, invisible barriers come into play. However, the nature of these barriers is very tricky. They can cause you to let down your guard because they are subtle. They are internal or psychological obstacles that gradually build up, often without clear signs of their presence. B. Protective but limiting. These barriers may initially seem to offer protection or help, but they keep you in a comfort zone or diverting you from more challenging endeavor that holds rewarding opportunities. Examples of the invisible barriers. 1. Overprotection from loved ones. Overprotection occurs when those who care about you excessively shield you from risks and new experiences, often out of concern for your safety. While this protection comes from a place of love, it can lead to unnecessary caution and missed opportunities. Impact. It creates a fear of the unknown and a reluctance to embrace new opportunities or challenges. You may become overly dependent on familiar and safe paths, which limits your growth and potential experiences. 2. Receiving too much help from others. While help from others is invaluable, excessive assistance can lead to dependency, where you rely on others to achieve goals rather than developing your own skills and independence. Impact. It stifles your personal growth and prevents you from fully realizing your potential. You may become accustomed to relying on others, which limits your ability to tackle challenges on your own. 3. Over-reliance on known strength. Your perceived strengths can become an obstacle if you rely on them exclusively, leading to stagnation. What once made you special can also create vulnerabilities due to a lack of variety in your skills or approaches. Impact. Over-relying on one strength can lead to a lack of adaptability and make you vulnerable when facing situations that require different skills or perspectives. 4. The familiar. Comfort with familiar routines and environments can create a sense of security, but also leads to resistance to change and fear of the unknown. Impact. This can prevent you from pursuing new opportunities that could lead to significant personal and professional growth, keeping you within a limited and potentially less challenging environment. 5. The environment and community. While a supportive community is valuable, it can sometimes constrain individuality and limit personal growth if it enforces conformity or restricts your ambitions. Impact. Being overly influenced by your environment and community can suppress your individuality and limit your ability to pursue personal goals that differ from community norms or expectations. Conclusion. What does it mean to live in the shadows? It is the question this chapter attempts to answer. It entails tailoring your life to fit any perceived boundaries or threats, imagined or real. The implications of this kind of living is a life of no purpose or progress. Chapter 2. The Power of the Shadow. The most dangerous thing is illusion. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The devastating impact of the shadow is that it complicates simple issues and makes challenges appear much more difficult than they are. This is simply because of the effects it has on you. It influences your perception of yourself and what you can do, and as well as your perception of what lies ahead. Now allow me to illustrate. There were 4 monkeys placed by a group of scientists in a large cage, and a bucket of hot water was placed at the top of the cage. They also tied a bunch of bananas with long ropes that could reach into the cage. The first monkey spotted the bananas and climbed to get them, only to have the bucket of boiling water thrown over him as soon as he reached the fruit. He leaped back down swiftly. The second monkey experienced the same outcome when attempting to get the bananas. The monkeys numbered 3 and 4 also had the identical hot water experiences, and this cycle kept repeating. Afterwards, the scientists made the decision to take off the pail of hot water and just fasten the bananas to the top of the cage, out of the monkey's easy reach. But no monkey ventured up to retrieve the bananas. To find out what would happen, the scientists opened the cage, took out one of the original monkeys, and put in a new one. They noticed that the other 3 original monkeys would pull the new monkey back down anytime he attempted to climb in an attempt to reach the bananas. Then one of the original monkeys was taken out, and a new one was put in its place by the scientists. They discovered that the original monkeys, including the first replacement, would always block the newly introduced monkey from climbing for the bananas. This behavior persisted until only fresh monkeys were left in the cage, replacing all of the original monkeys. Not a single monkey was able to get hold of the bananas, even though there was no threat. The goal of the shadow is to keep you from ever trying to get over the obstacles that are in your way, around you, and inside of you. It does this by conditioning you, desensitizing you, and providing you with replacements. 1. Conditioning you. Conditioning is the process of changing the behavior of a person by rewarding or punishing that person each time an action is performed until the subject associates the action with pleasure or distress. This was reflected in the experiment with the monkeys. The hot water itself was not the problem. The real issue was the fear instilled in the monkeys. Similarly, in life, the problem is not the obstacle itself, but what it projects to your mind. It achieves this through repeated punishments and rewards, either in your own life or in the lives of those within your environment. 2. Desensitizing you. After the shadow conditions you to live in a certain way, it moves on to put your awareness of greatness to sleep. This makes you passive about the essential elements that would allow you to experience life in its fullness. The worst part is that you might feel comfortable, as it seems to relieve you from stress and further prevents pain and opposition. However, it is important to understand that sensitivity to stress, pain, and opposition plays a crucial role in triggering your greatness. 3 essential elements that are desensitized. A. Sensitivity to opportunities. This refers to the ability to perceive opportunities. This would help you to become a better version of yourself. When this sensitivity is suppressed or put to sleep, it reduces your ability to recognize excellent chances, even if you have many qualities and potentials. B. Sense of value and self-worth. Your self-worth is based on your perception of your abilities and life purpose. When they are suppressed, you lose the motivation to live consciously because you believe you are nothing and do not wish to be something. C. A sound mind. This refers to the belief in one's ability to handle any scenario. Losing this belief can knock you off balance in practically everything you undertake. These elements allow you to explore the limitless possibilities that life has to offer. However, they are precisely the targets that the shadow intends to put to sleep. 3. Providing you with replacements. By putting your fundamental aspects to sleep, you become less resistive to everything life throws at you. And it frequently comes with a life that falls short of your potential, a life of mediocrity. What makes this worse is that it serves as a consolation for what you have been denied. This ensures additional suppression of the factors that could spark any type of resistance to mediocrity. The shadow provides you with a false sense of serenity and comfort in place of the chaotic yet golden reward of your genuine vision. Chapter 3. Barriers. Barriers are not just obstacles. They are mirrors reflecting the limitations we impose on ourselves. Barriers are walls or obstacles that prevents you from achieving your goals or improving yourself. The first thing to grasp about obstacles is that they are a natural aspect of existence. They exist in every endeavor, whether personal, professional, or spiritual. These challenges are not unique to any one person or environment. Everyone encounters them at some point. However, they develop stronger as a result of our actions and inactions. Failing to handle concerns or postponing might cause barriers to increase. Avoiding an unpleasant conversation or deferring a vital activity, for example, might escalate a minor issue into a major impediment over time. Furthermore, by repeatedly engaging in self-destructive behaviors or unhealthy thought patterns, we unintentionally strengthen them. This generates cycles in which the barrier feeds on itself, becoming stronger and more entrenched. However, regardless of size or duration, barriers can always be overcome. The goal is to comprehend the barrier, recognize its presence, and take intentional actions to destroy it. Understanding barriers. 1. Being fearful. Fear can be one of the most significant barriers. It paralyzes you, preventing you from taking action and pursuing opportunities. Fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown can keep you trapped in your comfort zone, where growth is impossible. 2. Taking people's opinions to heart without filtering them. When you give too much weight to other people's opinions without filtering them, you allow external factors to dictate your self-worth and decisions. This can create barriers to your authentic self-expression and decision-making. 3. Constantly thinking negative thoughts. Persistent negative thinking creates a barrier to success and happiness. It affects your outlook on life, leading to self-doubt, pessimism, and a defeatist attitude. Negative thoughts can also manifest in self-fulfilling prophecies, where your expectations of failure contribute to actual failures. 4. Having poor a self-image. A poor self-image can be a major barrier to achieving your goals. When you don't believe in yourself, you're less likely to take risks, pursue opportunities, or assert your worth. This can lead to missed opportunities and stagnation. 5. Always blaming others and not taking responsibility. Blaming others for your circumstances creates a barrier to personal growth. It prevents you from taking responsibility for your actions and choices, which is essential for making positive changes in your life. 6. Always postponing what you know is right for you to do. Procrastination is a significant barrier to progress. By continually postponing tasks or decisions that are important for your growth, you delay your success and create a cycle of inaction. 7. Believing you are better than everyone else. Excessive pride and arrogance can create barriers in your relationships and personal development. When you believe you are better than others, you close yourself off to learning, collaboration, and feedback, all of which are necessary for growth. 8. Self-serving. A self-serving attitude can create barriers in your interactions with others. When you are unwilling to help or collaborate, you miss out on the benefits of teamwork and community, which can provide support and opportunities for growth. 9. Holding on to a painful and shameful past. Holding on to past pain and shame creates emotional barriers that prevent you from moving forward. These unresolved issues can manifest as fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that block your progress. 10. Always isolating yourself from the rest of the world. Isolating yourself from others can create barriers to personal and professional development because it limits your exposure to new ideas, perspectives, and opportunities. Human connections are essential for learning, growth, and emotional support. 11. Not constantly seeking ways to better your life. Failing to seek self-improvement creates barriers to growth and success. Complacency leads to stagnation, where you become stuck in your current circumstances without striving for more. Conclusion. If you have any of these highlighted attitudes, you have a barrier that is growing in strength and size. Some of what is highlighted in this chapter will be dealt with in greater depth in the chapters ahead and how to overcome them. Chapter 3. Barriers. Barriers are not just obstacles. They are mirrors reflecting the limitations we impose on ourselves. Barriers are walls or obstacles that prevents you from achieving your goals or improving yourself. The first thing to grasp about obstacles is that they are a natural aspect of existence. They exist in every endeavor, whether personal, professional, or spiritual. These challenges are not unique to any one person or environment. Everyone encounters them at some point. However, they develop stronger as a result of our actions and inactions. Failing to handle concerns or postponing might cause barriers to increase. Avoiding an unpleasant conversation or deferring a vital activity, for example, might escalate a minor issue into a major impediment over time. Furthermore, by repeatedly engaging in self-destructive behaviors or unhealthy thought patterns, we unintentionally strengthen them. This generates cycles in which the barrier feeds on itself, becoming stronger and more entrenched. However, regardless of size or duration, barriers can always be overcome. The goal is to comprehend the barrier, recognize its presence, and take intentional actions to destroy it. Understanding barriers. 1. Being fearful. Fear can be one of the most significant barriers. It paralyzes you, preventing you from taking action and pursuing opportunities. Fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown can keep you trapped in your comfort zone, where growth is impossible. 2. Taking people's opinions to heart without filtering them. When you give too much weight to other people's opinions without filtering them, you allow external factors to dictate your self-worth and decisions. This can create barriers to your authentic self-expression and decision-making. 3. Constantly thinking negative thoughts. Persistent negative thinking creates a barrier to success and happiness. It affects your outlook on life, leading to self-doubt, pessimism, and a defeatist attitude. Negative thoughts can also manifest in self-fulfilling prophecies, where your expectations of failure contribute to actual failures. 4. Having poor a self-image. A poor self-image can be a major barrier to achieving your goals. When you don't believe in yourself, you're less likely to take risks, pursue opportunities, or assert your worth. This can lead to missed opportunities and stagnation. 5. Always blaming others and not taking responsibility. Blaming others for your circumstances creates a barrier to personal growth. It prevents you from taking responsibility for your actions and choices, which is essential for making positive changes in your life. 6. Always postponing what you know is right for you to do. Procrastination is a significant barrier to progress. By continually postponing tasks or decisions that are important for your growth, you delay your success and create a cycle of inaction. 7. Believing you are better than everyone else. Excessive pride and arrogance can create barriers in your relationships and personal development. When you believe you are better than others, you close yourself off to learning, collaboration, and feedback, all of which are necessary for growth. 8. Self-serving. A self-serving attitude can create barriers in your interactions with others. When you are unwilling to help or collaborate, you miss out on the benefits of teamwork and community, which can provide support and opportunities for growth. 9. Holding on to a painful and shameful past. Holding on to past pain and shame creates emotional barriers that prevent you from moving forward. These unresolved issues can manifest as fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that block your progress. 10. Always isolating yourself from the rest of the world. Isolating yourself from others can create barriers to personal and professional development because it limits your exposure to new ideas, perspectives, and opportunities. Human connections are essential for learning, growth, and emotional support. 11. Not constantly seeking ways to better your life. Failing to seek self-improvement creates barriers to growth and success. Complacency leads to stagnation, where you become stuck in your current circumstances without striving for more. Conclusion. If you have any of these highlighted attitudes, you have a barrier that is growing in strength and size. Some of what is highlighted in this chapter will be dealt with in greater depth in the chapters ahead and how to overcome them. Part 2, Awakenings and Confrontations. Chapter 4, Rude Awakening. A rude awakening shatters the illusion of safety, forcing us to face the reality we've been avoiding. To break free from the constraints that are holding you back, you must first be awakened. To be awakened means to be conscious of where your life is going, who you are becoming, and what is available for you. Let me highlight 3 ways to do this and explain them. 1. Embrace the reality of what is going on. Instead of seeking a quick repair or safety, embrace the pain and discomfort of the situation rather than seeking calm. 2. Pause. It's important to reflect on your experiences. It enables you to lessen or entirely halt the cycles of stagnation and regression by providing you the opportunity to slow down and analyze what is happening. 3. Evaluation. The careful analysis of yourself, where you are headed, where you believe you need to be, the limitations around you and opportunities, the parable of the prodigal son. Allow me to illustrate with the parable of the prodigal son as told by Jesus in the Gospel of Luke chapter 15. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." The father complied and then divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son gathered all he had and set off for a distant country. There he squandered his wealth in wild living, and after he had spent everything, a severe famine swept through the land, and he began to be in need. The younger son went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. The prodigal son was already in the pit of his own making. He was careless about the direction his life was headed and the quality of relationships he had. He didn't know what he wanted, which made him vulnerable to being swayed by anyone or anything, which led to him squandering all he had. He suffered the consequences of his actions and even resorted to eating the food meant for pigs. Yet he could not succeed in that. It was only after this that he had to pause and evaluate himself. This moment is captured in the phrase, "but when he came to himself." At the zenith of his suffering, the prodigal son came to a screeching halt as he examined the life he was living and the one he could have. This self-reflection granted him the strength to break free from the limitation imposed on him by his own making. The lesson, embracing the reality of where you are, and a thoughtful pause that leads evaluation, provides you with the opportunity to disrupt the effects of the shadow by awakening your senses. It helps you recognize what is in front of you while still holding on to the gifts of life. Here are some ways to evaluate your life experiences after you have hit the pause. Ask yourself, am I happy with the direction my life is headed? Are you experiencing the best quality of life possible? Or are you just settling for what is available? Is the direction of your life producing the results you want or not? Ask yourself, what direction do I want my life to take? If the answer to the first question is no, then consider where you want your life to go. This question pertains to vision, foresight, pursuit of happiness, and achievements. Ask yourself, what are my values? Consider what you are willing to allow or not allow in your life. This question serves as a foundation and guide for the decisions you make. It also determines whether you will settle for less or seek the best in life. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Identify what fears are keeping you from daring to do the things you want to do and explore why these fears exist. Ask yourself, what are the qualities of my relationships? You may have heard the saying, show me your friends, and I will tell you who you are. This is certainly true. If you want to progress, examine and honestly admit the qualities of the people around you, regardless of how close they are. Are they building you up, helping you move forward, or are they contributing to your stagnation? Ask yourself, do I have a sound mind? Do you think for yourself, or are you easily influenced by others' thoughts to the point that you undervalue your own thinking? Do you seek for knowledge that will make you better, or are you comfortable? This question is meant to guide and train how you think personally about what is in front of you and how you make decisions. Ask yourself, how do I handle experiences of failure and success? Do you quit trying when faced with difficulties, or do you strategize to overcome them or bounce back from failures? Do you get caught up in past successes and stop growing, or do you continue to push forward? Ask yourself, do I have a plan to move forward? Finally, consider whether you have a plan to move forward or if you are just hoping that things will get better on their own. Let me highlight some of the benefits of these questions. 1. These questions will help you hit the brakes to stop your life from continuing in the wrong direction. 2. They provide clarity and expose you to the multiple possibilities and opportunities available to you. 3. They motivate you to take quality and decisive actions. 4. They help you stand out from the crowd, as it is often not popular to do so. 5. They increase your productivity as an individual. 6. They also boost the quality of the relationships you have. Conclusion. Confronting these questions is difficult because they shake up your routine and disrupt what is normal. They expose what isn't working, what is broken, how far behind you might be, and how much farther you have to go. This is why I summarize this chapter as Rude Awakening, because at this point in your life, it's not all about fun, rather it's about confrontation. Chapter 5. When you are stuck, become disruptive. If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States of America. I want to continue at the pace that Chapter 4 finished, dealing with the themes of rude awakening and confrontation. However, this time we will be looking at being disruptive. Disruption, by definition, produces confusion and panic. But when you're stuck, it's a necessity. This idea is consistent with Newton's first law of motion. Just as objects remain in their current state until acted upon by an external force, our lives can remain stagnant in the absence of disruption. Disruption can be caused by uncontrollable circumstances, by other people, or even by you. However, my focus is on you. My goal in this chapter isn't to make you react to other people or events beyond your control, but to make you take your own forceful action, an action that can force the elements of things to favor you. Lessons from unlikely disruptors. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. These words are from Isaac to Esau. It was a blessing to him. When I was a child, I used to think this was a curse on Esau for being negligent about his life and his role in his home. At least that's what most preachers I heard said it was. Now that I am an adult, I have a different perspective on this particular blessing and the story of Esau and Jacob as a whole. Just in case you're not familiar with the story of the stolen blessing between Esau and Jacob, here's a brief rundown from the book of Genesis, chapters 25, 27, and 33. Isaac and Rebekah gave birth to twin boys. Esau was the firstborn and Jacob the secondborn. Jacob, who was second, came out of his mother's womb holding onto Esau's heel, symbolizing his role as a fighter and disruptor. As they grew up, Esau, the elder, became a skilled hunter and was his father's favorite. Jacob, the younger, became a shepherd. One day after returning from a hunt, Esau was famished and couldn't find any food. His twin brother Jacob had already prepared a meal for himself. Esau asked Jacob for food, but Jacob initially denied him. Eventually, Jacob offered a deal. Esau could have the food in exchange for his birthright. Esau, without hesitation, agreed to the deal, dismissing the significance of his birthright by saying something to the effect of, "What is a birthright compared to dying?" The next event was when Isaac, the father of the twins, was nearing the end of his life. He called for Esau to receive his blessing and instructed him to go hunt and prepare food for him. Esau set out to fulfill his father's request. However, Rebekah informed Jacob of Isaac's plan. Jacob then dressed as Esau and brought the food to Isaac. Isaac, now very old and nearly blind, was deceived by Jacob's disguise and gave him the blessing intended for Esau. When Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, Esau arrived with his prepared food, but only to discover the shocking reality that his blessing had been stolen by his own brother. This was the second time Esau had been cheated out of what was rightfully his. Esau desperately sought another blessing, but Isaac told him that what had been done could not be undone, and that there was no other blessing available. Despite this, Esau persisted, marking it the first time he had to actively push back on a limitation without giving up an advantage for what he wanted. Isaac then blessed Esau with the following words: "By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother, and it shall come to pass, when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from your neck." A breakdown of Esau's blessings. 1. The blessing was meant to transform Esau. Esau had to become more than just a hunter. He needed to become a warrior and a soldier. Soldiers achieve victories by conquering their enemies, owning and defending territories through confidence and strategic thinking. Essentially, his father was saying that he needed to develop both in craft and in mind and fight differently. 2. This blessing was to ensure he does not lose sight of his barrier, which is why some interpret it as a curse. The phrase, "and you shall serve your brother," highlights the constraint imposed on Esau. However, Isaac declared, "When you have the dominion, you shall break the yoke from your neck," meaning the limitation is made clear enough for him to see and then shatter it. 3. The blessing was intended to make everything in him uncomfortable with anything less than. Some translations of the Bible interpret the word dominion in Esau's blessing to the following: when you become restless, or when you can't take it anymore, or when you rebel, and only then you will be able to tear his yoke from your neck. All of these translations means the same thing. They all mean if he must rise, he must get tired of being in a subservient position and become a leader in mind and substance. And only then will he be able to step out of the shadows of his brother. In essence, Esau will not find peace in his sleep or perceived location of comfort unless he rises up. Many people can be content in obscurity as long as they find some tranquility. Isaac knew of these tendencies, hence he activated something in Esau's spirit with this particular blessing that says dare or live small. Esau's prominence and legacy. Esau's lineage and his role as the progenitor of the Edomites highlight his prominence. 1 Edomite kings and chiefs. The descendants of Esau, listed in Genesis 36, became chiefs and kings in Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Genesis 36:31. This suggests a well-established and organized society with a clear hierarchical structure. 2. Cultural integration. Esau's marriage into different cultural groups, Hittites and Ishmaelites, illustrates the blending and integration of cultures, which might have contributed to the strength and resilience of the Edomite nation. Scholar John H. Walton suggests that these alliances helped Esau's descendants establish a diverse and influential community. 3. Military strength. The Edomites were known for their military strength and strategic location, controlling important trade routes. They played a significant role in regional politics and conflicts. 3. Historical presence. Archaeological findings, such as the discovery of ancient Edomite settlements and inscriptions, support the existence and prominence of the Edomite kingdom. Scholars like William F. Albright have identified Edomite sites and artifacts that correlate with biblical accounts. Jacob, and let's look at Jacob a little. His life mirrors his name, which means usurper, literally referring to someone who disruptively takes from another. After he stole his brother's blessing, he fled to the land of his uncle Laban. There he lived in the shadow of his uncle, who was a savvy and cunning businessman. Jacob worked under conditions that were rigged against him, but instead of failing, he found ways to come out on top. He did so well that his uncle Laban got tired and had to let him go on his own. Years later, when Jacob had his children and was living in his own territory, he heard that his brother Esau was coming to meet him. Jacob was burdened with fear because of how he had cheated Esau when they were younger. He began to prepare gifts to offer Esau and then went into hiding. While in hiding, an angel in the form of a man appeared. And let me take a moment to speculate the questions the angel may have had in mind when he walked past Jacob. 1. Will he recognize that divinity is in the area? 2. Will he sense an opportunity has been opened to him? 3. Can he take advantage of it? 4. Will he let the opportunity pass by? Jacob was indeed alert, and when the angel passed by, he took hold of him. They wrestled through the night until the sun had almost begun to rise. The angel bruised Jacob's hip joint to weaken him, but Jacob still held the angel hostage to the point that the angel said, "Let me go," recognizing the disruptive force Jacob had over him. It was at this point Jacob gave him an ultimatum. "Unless you bless me, I will not let you go." And the angel complied and blessed him, changing his name and identity from Jacob, which means a usurper, to an even more forceful name and identity, Israel, meaning wrestle with God and triumph. Then the angel put him to sleep, showing he could have easily won the fight, but was waiting to see how forceful Jacob was in the pursuit of a better life. Jacob and Esau reunite. When the twins met again, Esau had changed drastically. He was mighty in appearance, and with him stood 400 armed horsemen as his personal bodyguards, reflecting his affluent status. The sight made Jacob, who had been declared lord over Esau, say to him, while offering gifts in appeasement, "These are to find favor in the sight of my lord. Please receive these gifts." He bowed to Esau in respect and said, "My lord," revealing the reality that Esau no longer stood in Jacob's shadows, but in the light of his own greatness. Esau told him to keep his gifts because he had an abundance of possessions, because the purpose of the meeting was for reconciliation. Understanding power dynamics. Whenever there are two or more people involved in a thing, there will always be a power struggle. And the reason for this is, individuals have different desires, goals, and perspectives, which can lead to conflicts over who gets to make decisions or influence outcomes, and who gets to receive the best of anything. Power dynamics naturally emerge in any group setting, whether it's in the workplace, within a family, or among friends. These struggles can be subtle, such as a battle to have more favor, social dominance and recognition, etc., or more open struggles like competing for a leadership position. Understanding and navigating these power struggles is crucial for you to gain an advantage. Actionable steps to take. 1. Develop perspective. A new perspective can transform challenges into opportunities by revealing previously unseen solutions and possibilities. It shifts your understanding, allowing you to approach problems with fresh insights and creative strategies. Embracing a different viewpoint can also break mental barriers, fostering growth and innovation. 2. Be a leader. Take the lead. Don't be led. Let me explain. If you want to win, you must be willing to take leadership of your life and where you want to go. Disruptive leaders are those who have broken out of unfavorable situations, decided they wanted to be leaders and not clowns. They did not want to perform for someone else in order to eat. This decision is born from their conviction of being men and women who wanted to be in charge of their destinies. If you want to rise out of the shadows of people, subjective institutions, and societal bias, then decide that you are going to be a fighter, not a wimp, a smart leader, and not a clown. A. Develop and stick to a vision. Vision is a compelling mental image of a desired future that guides and inspires action. To develop a vision, start by reflecting on what you want to be and how you intend to be identified as. B. Decide your boundaries. Decide what you will allow and not allow in your life, because what you allow creates patterns that will either make you or break you. 3. Understand the dynamics of struggles around you. Recognize the motivations, strengths, and weaknesses of everyone involved. This insight will help you anticipate their actions and responses, and it will also help you plan the best moves to make. 4. Evaluate your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Assess areas where you feel stagnant or where challenges might offer opportunities for growth. For example, if you're in a difficult spot, consider how changing your attitude, acquiring new skills, or exploring a different approach that might benefit you. This analysis can highlight areas where you can gain the most advantage. 5. Confrontation. Face things as they are, not as you would wish them to be, and if necessary, with the force they come. Do not fear the chaos that may follow when you stand up for yourself. And let me highlight a few reasons for you on why you should be comfortable with confrontation. A. What you allow is what will stay and continue. B. If you can be oppressed, you will be. If you can be denied of anything, you will be. C. When you can't be oppressed or denied of what is due to you, you will be respected. You may not be liked, but you will become respectable. 6. Adaptation. Adaptation is key, especially when finding your way through difficult people, places, and tasks. It requires you to be aware of your surroundings and acknowledge what is really going on. This enables you to act in ways that ensures you have advantages. It is important to change what is not working or what gives you little or no payoffs. 7. Be consistent. Your ability to push for an advantage against all odds without the desire to give up will increase your chances to win. Therefore, be aggressively patient and make long-term plans that push the boundaries of your present situation. 8. Increase your assets. Anything you personally own that can give you the edge is your asset. Assets include your skill sets, relationships, money, properties, and investments. If you don't have any of these, you will lose in the power game of life. And if you have them but they are few, you are still in danger. Therefore, increase them. Then you will have huge chances of winning. 9. Forgiveness. Forgive those who have hurt you, sabotaged you, and betrayed you. They may not deserve it, but you desire to be free from the poison of bitterness, and it will help handle issues with freshness. Conclusion. When things are set up for you to fail or for you to be suppressed, you have to intentionally upset the situation with the aim of securing your advantage. And also, if you must win the power game, you must acquire certain things to make you strong and very dominant.